This is Jonathan Ferguson, Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And I'm your host, Dave Jewett. Since we are here at the Royal Armouries today, shooting a selection of content, I thought it'd be fun to pick your brain and do a bit of a Q&A. All these questions have been submitted by our wonderful patrons. So, yeah, we'd like to pick your brain.
Okay.
So the first question from Twit in a Hat has asked, there's a lot of names like that, but brace yourself. What was your pathway from training in archaeology to specialising in firearms history?
Doing a bit of digging and realising that scrabbling around in the tipping rain and mud, finding absolutely nothing wasn't for me. And thinking I still really like archaeology, why not jump in at the point where the finds come out of the ground and are being interpreted and displayed and researched and catalogued and all of that. So I was thinking museum archaeology, so I did a postgraduate course after my first degree in archaeology in museum studies, which involved a 2-month placement, and I chose the National Museum of Ireland in the military history team, which was great, and I think helped get me on my way in a slightly different direction. I had in the interim done 6 months full-time voluntary museum work, because I was told that was something like that was sort of necessary. It's not strictly true, but probably preferable to the qualification in many ways. Not that that was not worth doing. And that was happened to be in an industrial collection. So a wool museum on the Devon border, which was great. Not my personal interest. And this is the thing, I could have ended up looking after curating, knowing about all sorts of stuff. Could have ended up curating an archaeological collection, could have been teapots, could have been anything. It's a profession more than it is it's a vocation as well, but not in terms of the subject specialism. But I was very lucky. So I ended up going from archaeology to industrial history to military history. That placement helped. Went to Imperial War Museum, Duxford, after being at Colchester, where I did a bit of archaeology, documentation of. And from Duxford to Edinburgh Castle as assistant curator of military history there, looking after all sorts of military kit, including quite a good little collection of firearms. Was specialising in edged weapons, thinking that was a bit more marketable for any future... really, because they had a better collection of military edged weapons in a way than they did the firearms. So, to me, that felt more natural. And I'm interested in all arms and armour and other things, aircraft and stuff as well. And then I was very fortunate that the curator job came up here. And then a few years into that, I initially resisted promotion because of the management aspect, but then here I am as keeper, which is basically like a curator in charge of other curators.
The Sunday Shooter has asked, can you tell us about your first time firing a gun? I think you've told us what you fired before.
Yes. So I had somehow hadn't shot anything other than an air gun growing up, and jumped straight, I sort of did it backwards. The first thing I ever fired was a fully automatic Uzi in Florida on holiday, as I dare say a fair few Brits have done. That was 2008, so just before really I started here, between my last place and this one. And then the very last sort of type of weapon I ever fired, or type of firearm I ever fired, was a shotgun, a standard 12-gauge shotgun. So I speed ran it and then went backwards. And it was a slightly terrifying rental range next to a bail bonds office and opposite a prison in Florida. Holes in the ceiling, holes in the walls, holes on the floor, holes in the booths. Lots of other idiot tourists waving guns around, but still a really good experience. And actually a weirdly good place to start because it doesn't really recoil very much. Solid wooden stock. I knew enough to be hopefully not dangerous. Started on semi, went to automatic, had no issues, had a great time, had a $50 voucher for ammo, I think it was, from a newspaper or something. So that was good. And then a year later-ish, I was here and had the chance to shoot some other stuff.
Yeah, those rental ranges can be a little sketchy.
Can't actually recommend it, guys. Please make an informed decision. You go and shoot somewhere.
What might you recommend to any young guns or young guns who want to follow in your stead and play a part in preserving firearms history for a living? That was a question from Bungus.
Bungus, yeah, okay. So I get asked this a lot. Again, calling back to my sort of career path, do you want to be a museum person or do you want to work with guns? Because if you want to work with guns, it's very hard to recommend following the museum path because the chances of you ending up anywhere near where I am, realistically, are very few. Although, having said that, there are lots of collections. Depends where you are as well. But from a UK's perspective even, there are local authority museums, regimental museums that have small firearms collections, some of them really good, where if you did follow the museum path, and certainly, like, let's say you volunteer there, you would have access to that interesting collection to you, and then learn some ropes about the museum world and end up in the museum world, but you probably have to move away from those firearms. Or the other way around, you train up in museums and you end up in some collection that has firearms. Great, that's probably good. But if firearms are your thing, you want to be looking at the Gunmakers Guild in the UK really tries to help young people get into firearms as a trade. The Gun Trade Association. There is a gunmaker's school in Austria that is residential and you learn how to make guns. And people from there go to artisan places like Holland, but they also end up, places like FN where they're doing more of the engineering side. I presume you also would need a 4-year engineering degree and probably other stuff as well there. There are companies, again, even in the UK, Accuracy International, FN UK, a few others. And again, the craft makers, like the high-end shotgun makers, that kind of thing. But it's difficult. And of course, the armed forces, the police, but again, you could join the police, have a whole career and never end up near a firearm. So very hard. It's very hard. I've been extremely lucky, as dedicated and as much as I persevered and learned, and it's luck to some degree. Even if you follow, if you join the armed forces, you're guaranteed to end up with guns of some sort. But it may not be very often, and it's going to be a very limited range. The REME in particular, if you like the physical, the mechanical side of firearms, the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers would be the sort of path you'd want to follow. If anyone wants detailed advice, feel free to drop a line and I'll send you some information. But it's I say, please don't be discouraged, but it's difficult. If you want to get into firearms exclusively, and you're super dedicated and have the money to do so, you might want to leave the country if you're in the UK or other countries that are relatively restrictive. The US is obviously a good place, but then the market's kind of saturated as well, so you're kind of fighting for other people's jobs.
Well, this is a very important, very serious, very thought-provoking question from Inceptor57. How do you feel about your name becoming an internet meme?
I quite like it, really. The whole spiel. I should have worn my lapel pin you got me with the full title. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's good. I'm more annoyed by people misspelling my name than by any kind of memery.
It does make me laugh if I'm
It's all good-natured.
I'm browsing Reddit or reading comments, not even on our videos, across like different firearms videos.
Yeah.
Just I'll watch like a Call of Duty trailer and someone will say Jonathan Ferguson might have something to say about this gun, and the first reply will always be, "Do you mean?" And I always upvote those comments. Every time I see it just out in the wild and we've not sort of been a part of it, I'm like, that does make me laugh. It is sort of weird that I think I've said your name more times than I have a lot of my family members.
Your own name?
Almost certainly my own name at this point.
Yeah.
More than a lot of other people's name. If that's our lasting legacy that we've given you, when you need to go to Deedpoll and actually like change it officially.
Well,
might make your driving license like this long.
My wife had to do that to add her nana's name as her middle name, but only so that other people, companies and people that deal with your money and stuff would recognise it. In theory, you can just start going by an alias. So
well, you could do Jonathan.
I can just start calling myself that.
Then all the first letters, Ferguson.
Well, so Jordan, shout out to Jordan. Suggested that I should be Jonathan History for short, since just like Ferguson's in there, but it's now one of my middle names and History is my surname to make the whole thing work. But no, I enjoy it. I haven't had anyone recite the whole thing in person to me yet.
Other than me.
Other than you.
Yeah.
But yeah, people, when I get recognised and things, it's usually, one of the early ones was from a tube train. They just went, Royal Armouries at me. So I'm identified with the museum, but not so far with the full name. But online, I think that's, as you rightly say, it's a meme online more than it is anything else.
Can you say where you recognised it today?
Oh, in the gentlemen's toilets.
Yeah.
Yes, in a restaurant. In a bar, really, wasn't it? But,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a first. It happens. It happens regularly, like often, and then not for ages, and then somewhere completely where you wouldn't expect it.
So I've had it before when I've been at a games convention. It's much more frequent then, but someone's once come up to me and just gone, "You're Jonathan Ferguson." No, wait, the other guy.
Oh no!
And I was like, well, you're not wrong.
I'm sorry.
It's absolutely fine. Shout out to them for being a fan.
Well, the guy in the gents didn't initially recognise. He recognised me, but couldn't remember where from. And then he popped back in as I was, doing what you do, and apologised for that, but went, "You're the gun guy, aren't you, from the Royal Armouries?" Yes, I am.
You are. You really are. We had a few questions about bullpups. Surprise, surprise.
Of course.
And Chris has asked, not that one, what made Jonathan become interested in bullpup firearms?
I guess
Because you've got the reputation now.
Yeah, well, external factors in a way. Not that I was uninterested. From one of my early exposures to firearms was one of my dad's books, Small Arms of the World, and on the cover is several guns, and one of them is the EM2. So right away, I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting. I'm reading about that. I can't remember if I think there's an SA-80 prototype in that. And then obviously seeing the SA-80 come into service as I was still a kid at that point. That's how old it is. And then becoming interested in guns, playing games, watching movies, and just thinking that they were somewhat cool, and actually buying the hype in a way that they were the future. It seemed to make sense. Long barrel, short gun, they'll all be like that one day. And it's kind of, if anything, as I've, reached middle age, gone the other way. We're moving away from bullpups. But inevitably working in certainly the best British collection of firearms, arguably the best collection of firearms in the world, the broadest, longest span of time, greatest span of geography. But we do have a strong emphasis on British stuff because of who we are. Stuff from the Tower Armouries, stuff from the Ministry of Defence Pattern Room. There's a strong emphasis on British stuff. Therefore, we have tons of experimental bullpups, tons of SA-80s. And so I was asked in 2017 to write blog posts to accompany Forgotten Weapons videos. So several years before I was kind of more prominently online, I was helping Ian. No one read those because they like to watch videos. They don't like to read stuff. They weren't necessarily that. People don't read the description on YouTube. So my editor, Nick, hello if you're watching, who is very knowledgeable himself on small arms, encouraged me to join in on this new head stamp project and write a book. And that's where I went deep dive on the bullpups. So I turned those chapters into the skeleton of the book and then added about twice as much information and a ton more references and photos. And that's how I became known as a bullpup enjoyer. I'm kind of ambivalent on them at this point. They're not necessarily great, but they're also not awful as some people think.
Well, Josh Kirk, to expand on that, has asked, beside it being the UK's main service rifle, what made you so interested in the L85 family and previous bullpups used by the British Army?
Again, by default, we've got the best collection of them. I was asked to do it. It is interesting, what appears to be a strong trend toward bullpups from the British side, and obviously the only success there is the SA-80, and I know that might sound strange to say to some, but it has ultimately been a success. It's been a decent service rifle for longer than it's been a not good one, and it's a long-serving weapon. That's second only to the Enfield rifle for how long it's been in service, and will be in service until 2040, supplanted by more modern stuff, which we're excited to be on the periphery of that whole effort to replace the SA-80. We're vaguely involved in a way, which is really nice. As being part of, I guess, the brain trust that's in the UK, more on the long view of history than anything else. We won't be directly informing anything, but.
Blaze has asked, what is your favourite weird gun? For example, one that looks weird or has a weird action or mechanism.
Ooh.
And to expand on that, Jack Sherman's also asked, what is your favourite wacky, weird, or simply bizarre weapon in the Royal Armouries Museum? We're talking about weird guns now.
Well, a good answer that ticks both boxes is the Blanche Chevalier grenade launcher.
I think you've shown me that before.
Yeah, it's on display in the galleries, and it was the star of our live episode of What's This Weapon that we did nearly 3 years ago, where 500 people showed up to see that, which was very nice. And we had the thing there, we had all the security arrangements in place to get it in front of the live audience and then back again. And it's this Martini Henry in the back, M79 in the front, mullet of a gun. It's really bizarre. It has this fascinating sort of social history story of a manipulative investor who cons the poor inventor into thinking he's going to bring this thing to help the boys in the trenches, and it just doesn't work out. But it's a recoil mitigation system with a plunger and a spring, and it's Martini Henry, which everyone loves, including me, and it's a grenade launcher. It's sort of steampunk, but without fully being steampunk.
Is there a weird gun that you think ought to have been featured in more games? And that's a question from both Frogblast and Bright Noah.
I would have said that one, but that is in a game, isn't it? That's in...
There was a reason we showed it off that one time.
It was in... Didn't they put it in Hunt Showdown or something?
Something at least very similar as in Hunt Showdown.
I should know this. I was very taken with the fact
how many
that it was in a
games
game.
we've covered together. It's starting to blur together.
It is a bit, but...
We'll drop the info on screen when we figure it out.
It's been a long couple of days of...
Yeah.
My brain is mush. Maybe we should have done the Q&A first.
Yeah, maybe.
It might be more entertaining to do it this way around. Well, maybe, like the Thorpe EM1 rifle instead of the EM2, you never get the... Because at one point they were running side by side, and then the EM1 falls away and the EM2 carries on and nearly gets into production, but not really. So EM1 might be fun. I mean, I'm doing my best to get stuff in that's weird from this collection, and that kind of comes with consultancy that we do, where I'm outright asked, what is there from this part of the world, this time period, that we could get in there? And then you have to think, should I mention that? Because it probably shouldn't be in there, Give them the option. Well, the SREM is the example of what I did get into a game with Sniper Elite.
We needed to do this question while we were walking up and down.
What have we got that's weird that should be in a game? So much stuff, but I can't think of anything at the moment. There must be so much stuff. There's too much to think of.
Combat Muffin asked, what is an...
Sorry.
He's remembered.
I've just thought of the perfect thing, because it is very sort of Hunt Showdown-y era, which is what was our mystery rifle. It turned out to be the Holland & Holland self-loading rifle, which just in the way I'm describing it would be a great name for it.
Yeah.
And it's this Nitro Express cartridge, like the something like the Browning BAR, not that BAR, the hunting one. So like slow, rapid fire but not automatic, big, chunky. I keep saying diesel punk in the lately, but it would fit that very nicely. You could because it's a prototype, you could actually develop it visually to a point where it's plausible as a product, as a weapon. You could say it's a military weapon for a different branch of timeline. You could say it's a sporting arm, hunting weapon, whatever. So that's almost unknown outside of our 2 videos on it, but it would be a great one to put in a game.
Well, Crytek, if you're watching, come on down.
It's a toggle action. There's a lot going for it.
Combat Muffin asked, what is an obscure piece of firearms trivia that you have never had the opportunity to share?
Oh, God.
Fun fact hour with Jonathan Ferguson is back.
That's not a fair question. Where the hell would I start with that? There are so many. I'm going to struggle to think of any. Firearms trivia. I actually have a list. I have half a plan to turn this into a book. It's mainly about mythology. That's my favourite type of firearms trivia, is mythology. But let me look this up live.
Quick consult of the list.
I mean, there are a few that are known that are, like the urine cooling down guns, or the drinking tea from water jackets, where it's sort of a fact check thing.
Yeah, they've never been game mechanics.
There's stuff, the one that's just popped up in front of me there, like the myth that Martini Henry bullets were stopped by Zulu shields, has some kind of relevance in that about muzzle loaders, where the velocity's falling off much quicker and maybe bullets are bouncing off the shields, and it becomes a myth that even the Martini Henrys are doing that. They're not. It just never ends. Things that people have claimed to have said, that they may have said. One I've been trying to chase down is this rifle, this weapon won this battle. Never true. Plevna, it doesn't matter, whatever the battle, it's never true. The closest is got to be the certain battles of the Crimean War with the 1851 Minier rifle, where multiple people are saying this is a game changer. All other circumstances, it's much more about it's a meme of the period. One side are blaming their loss on having rubbish guns, or the other side are praising their own kits. There's always something deeper, fascinating to dig into, but it's never about the kit, because technology is always a race where you broadly keep. Or one side does have a more powerful or faster firing or better weapon. It's much more about the numbers present, the generalship, the terrain, the conditions. So I'm always keeping an eye out and doing fact checking on people's claims about battles, and there's so much. Trivia, though, is a bit more kind of what's a fun fact about X? And that's a bit harder to disentangle in my brain.
Let it cook in your brain. Something might pop up and you can just blurt it out. There's a few questions about the collection. What is one piece of the collection that you've never seen represented accurately in a piece of media? I got that question from a suspiciously moist carpet. These popped up before.
Never seen done correctly.
I think we've got close with muzzle loaders.
Well, that's where my brain was going. But then we've seen. What was it? What did I text you about? What did I WhatsApp you about? Holdfast.
Yeah.
But the mod for Napoleonic Wars was the best I've seen of a muzzle-loading musket, where it was almost bang on.
Oh yeah, was that the Mountain Blade mod for Napoleonic Wars? Maybe.
No, it was the game. Oh, sorry, yeah, Holdfast is Napoleonic. What's the American Civil War one?
War of Rights.
I think it was a mod for that.
Oh.
Am I getting confused? Anyway, point is, we've got to the point where niche, kind of, I guess, casual, like not being paid, and developers are able to nail. It's VR. It was definitely a VR game. Damn it! We'll throw that up on screen as well.
You messaged me with a Habby video, who I watch quite a lot, and they were playing a VR Napoleonic War game with muzzleloaders.
Yes, they were.
It was that video, and you said, "This is really good."
It was a mod of an existing VR game.
Yeah, I believe it was.
So we've definitely seen progress there, but it's always going to be niche. I don't think muzzle-loading combat's ever going to really enthrall too many people. It'll always be fudged in games where it's mass market. That makes me think of the knock volley gun, but then I haven't ever seen that tried. So it's not like it's been done badly, it just hasn't been done.
Yeah.
As far as I remember. Stuff's been done really well for the most part now, at least once.
Yeah.
There's nothing that sticks out to me as just wrong, and I wish they'd get it right. The SA-80 was it for a while, and then we had a couple that were really respectable, and Battlefield 6 has got the best one.
Commissar123 asked, what is the oldest firearm that you found in working condition?
Working condition is difficult, because we've got plenty of intact things with all the springs that still have tension and everything would still work and it would probably still fire, you just would never risk it. And because the older you go, the least sophisticated they become. So I would say our hoop and stave handgun, dredged from the Thames, not dredged, but found on the foreshore, down at the Tower of London on display there, would not be in functioning condition. But our bronze handgun is. The Danzig gun, if you put that on a stick or clamped it into a firing rest, absolutely that would fire and probably survive it. We just never would do it because it belongs in a museum. So it's lucky that it's in one. Because it's just a cast little cannon. So you put gunpowder in it, you put a bit on the top, you set light to it, it's going to fire. So 1400 AD is the answer, approximately 1400, which is about as old as firearms get, broadly.
Prospero101 asked, what recent acquisition for the Royal Armouries are you most excited about right now?
Well, so we have an interesting breaching shotgun of a very modern redesign. I won't say what it is, because you might be seeing that soon. What I'm most excited about is what hasn't arrived yet, which is the two things from Thales, Australia. Fingers crossed they're able to. They've done their bit, but hopefully they should arrive with us at some point soon. The ACAR, Australian Combat Assault Rifle, which is an AR-15, and the modernised AUG in the form of the Oster EF-88. So we're very hopeful that those will arrive with us fairly soon, and then I'll be talking about those a lot, because as you know, we don't have any modern AUGs.
Exciting.
So on the modern side, very excited. On the antique side of things, the really exciting one is actually a few years old now, and it's the James II pistol that's on display down at the Tower of London. But we're still quite excited about that because it was very expensive and very historically important.
Just like you.
Oh. You calling me old?
And historically important. What's your favourite object in the Royal Armouries, be it a firearm or otherwise? That's from Silvertine.
I think it's hard to not say the so-called Danzig bronze handgun, because it's super rare. There are only a handful of these things in the world still around, and it's unique because they're all different. And I acquired it for the collection a good 10 years ago. And it's on display, and it's written about, by me, but also mentioned by other people. And it's kind of where it all starts for everything that we cover, you know. A nicely cast, sand cast probably, bit of bronze cast around a rod and then reamed out. Would have been on a staff. It would have looked like a staff weapon originally, probably. And it has faces. It has a bearded face, or bearded faces around the muzzle. Check it out online. Put up a picture of it. And then where the touch hole is, that holds the powder, is like a gaping mouth. So it's almost like a cathedral. It's a little bit Warhammery, actually, if you think about it. A little bit, like maybe that timeline, but it's our timeline.
What is a weapon in the collection that you would like to be able to fire, but can't for some reason? Be that unusual ammo type, poor condition, rarity, etc. That's from Nick M. I know the G11, if you still had it, I know you wanted to fire
G11 for sure. That same handgun that now I will have cited 3 times, just for the sake of having done it. There's an evil part of me that would love to do that, but we wouldn't really learn a great deal from that. We know very well how it performed pretty much, so there'd be nothing to be gained from doing it. But if you were just, you know, just for the sake of having done it, but we won't, don't worry. I guess my instinctive top, though, has got to be EM2 in 280, because I still haven't fired one. I've been in the wrong place at the right place at the wrong time to shoot one in a different collection. We have several, but they're all unique. They're all not necessarily in suitable firing condition, and we don't have any ammunition up here at the moment, but we might be able to do it in the future. And just because I've written written a lot, I've researched a lot, I fired the 7.62 version, I'd love to shoot the 280 or 7mm.
I feel like the universe owes you that at this point.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to seem entitled, but I sort of agree with you.
If you could set up a weapon museum in a video game series, which would you choose?
What a good question. Yeah, I always enjoy virtual museums that crop up in games.
The Modern Warfare 2 one is the one that always pops into my head.
Yeah.
The one that popped into my head after this question.
Which game would I set it up in? Difficult, really. I wouldn't want to do it in Battlefield because someone would bring it down around me with the destruction. You kind of want it in something more peaceful, like Minecraft or something, but then that wouldn't be detailed enough for me.
Well, let's assume that this virtual museum is on safe ground. No one's going to bother you there.
Difficult. I'd say I'd want it to be in VR so you can get some kind of hands-on. Hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades.
A whole museum.
Yes. A whole level that's a gun museum.
I actually know that is in the works.
Yes. Can I do all the text, please?
Which fictional gun or guns would you want to shoot the most? That's from Zmid and Chaos Diver.
Fictional gun. I instinctively want to say the pulse rifle, but not just a Tommy gun with bits stuck to it. I'd want to shoot James Cameron's idea of what the pulse rifle should be. So it looks like a pulse rifle, but it fires like he imagines it to fire. Caseless, with the effect we see on the aliens in the movie.
Oh, you're fighting aliens in this scenario. You're braving up to them when you're doing it properly.
I said the effect. So the terminal effect of the rounds, the standard light armor piercing round. I'm not necessarily going to... I've had enough of that in VR, thanks, I think. Although, part of me, and I feel the same way about dinosaurs and other dangerous things, is I would love to actually be that close to a xenomorph. Just like if I have to die to be able to see that thing as a real beast. Ideally, it would be from a distance and safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe that's 2 different experiences. But yeah, I think to realise my favourite sci-fi weapon in a way that's idealised, I think would be the word.
Thickless Mage, an international treasure, asks, what can developers do to make fictional guns better fit into a game's world alongside real ones?
I think watch EXP for that one.
Now we're talking.
It's a very complex question. It depends on the genre, on the nature of the game. It's a genre of game, but also a genre of history or not history, contemporary, sci-fi, whatever.
Because that is a challenge, right? In near future or sci-fi games where they've got contemporary real world stuff and fictionalized stuff, trying to make those two feel like they belong in the same universe can be quite challenging.
I'd say, for a single answer to this, it's study firearms design. Not necessarily as a design engineering level of understanding, but an understanding of principles of operation like blowback, recoil, gas, a sense of how receivers and frames and grips and things go together to make a functioning firearm, The barrel and the breech is the heart of that, going right back to 1364 is the first English reference to a handgun. And then you'll have it doesn't matter then if you want to totally throw that out the window and do something totally fictional. You'll have that grounding, and what you create will feel right to people like me, if that's what you care about. If you don't care about that, then don't listen.
Yeah.
Don't study firearms design. So even an old, like if you had to read one book, people often ask, what's the one book that tells you about guns? There isn't one. If you want to know the range of modern firearms that's in use, Jane's infantry weapons, sure. But Julian Hatcher's notebook, you'll learn a lot about guns from reading that. Yes, it's mid to late 20th century, 1940s, 50s, 60s, but it's got all the basic, because nothing's much changed in how guns work. That would be a good grounding, and he's got some diagrams and things in there about how things work. And you can sort of pick and choose how you want your virtual gun to work, whether it's a slavish copy of something real, or whether it's something riffing on something else. That would be a good place to start.
I think what you said when we were talking about the SL9 in Battlefield 6 is approach design from an engineering and a user standpoint first and an artistry second. I'm paraphrasing you, to make it feel like they are usable objects.
So things that feel like they have weight and mass and function, even if it's something that shoots laser beams, I want to feel like it's storing energy somewhere, processing energy somewhere, and emitting energy from somewhere in a way that feels vaguely plausible or at least visceral.
Jay asked, do you believe that video games have had a significant impact on the design of modern firearms, now that we likely have engineers working on designs who grew up seeing guns in games?
We've talked about this a fair bit. I believe that, yes, but I can't at the moment prove it. I would love actually to do an oral history. One of my first, early in my career, I dabbled or helped people who were doing oral history, and it'd be fascinating to sit down some designers and just ask them outright, people of a certain generation, like Gen X onwards really, and say, can you tell us any of your designs, were they inspired directly by something, or do you feel like you've brought something from your gaming career to your professional career? I'm sure the answer is going to be yes. I'm absolutely sure of it, but we don't have anything tangible to point to. People used to point to the F2000 and Halo. They don't really line up. We're pretty sure the influence is there.
What is the most miscast weapon you've ever seen in a film, television series, or a video game? That's from Axel H.
The one that comes to mind I don't fully agree with, which is the Space AK from Andor.
That's the one that first came into my mind.
Yeah, and I get it, but I think it's a little... The only reason that's the case is that pattern recognition thing that we've spoken about with the curved mag. If you look at that prop in detail, they've changed a load of detail, probably more detail than on the Sterling-inspired blaster. But the AK is just too iconic.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have touched it. The artist did a great job on it, I think. They cut the mag down, didn't they? Mm-hmm. They probably needed to replace it with a completely different mag design. Because after all, it's not feeding rounds, so why would it be curved anyway? And then they could have kept the AK-inspired top bit, and I don't think people would... Top bit? The gun bit. And people wouldn't have complained. But I guess by popular consensus, I have to admit that one. I'm sure there are plenty of others where something's just totally incongruous. Well, I've got a new one from this filming session.
Oh, yeah.
The fake F2000 from Call of Duty.
Yeah, why that's in
Second
Vanguard.
World War era. It's wrong on so many levels, so keep an eye out for that if this comes out first.
So Lazy snuck in a Warhammer question, which I fully admire and respect and appreciate. Question for Dave, that's me. In your opinion, what is the most cursed gun in the Imperium of Man, and why is it Azrael's original bullpup combi-bolter? I think what they've done here is they have formulated a reason for me to show you Azrael's
bullpup
combi-bolter.
Because I haven't seen this.
It's pretty... there it is.
Oh, I see why you say that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the magazine would end there, the barrel's there, there's no feeding device.
Yeah.
You can ignore the plasma lower, but they did update it.
Did they?
They updated
Did someone unbullpup it?
They've unbullpupped it and,
I knew it.
and moved the magazine onto the side like a Sten or a Sterling, and it looks way better.
Do you know, it's not even the mag being right at the back, because the Korobov prototypes from Russia have it that far back. It's the fact that there isn't enough height in the receiver to do anything with it.
Yeah, and I think on the model,
I'm with you.
That bit that's cut out at the top is just so it can fit in his arm.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a very weird bit of design, and I'm not surprised that they changed it for the updated Primaris model. Yeah, there's today's Warhammer question. Didn't mind it. Arctic X9 asked, what is your favourite non-shooter game or series?
non-shooter.
Yeah.
Got to be Jagged Alliance. It's full of guns, but it's not a shooter. It's a turn-based tactics game with a strategic strategic world map.
That's true. I think, yeah, we've got to give you that.
Although if we're going to, see, if I say something like, if it's like my favourite non-violent game, Portal.
Portal's great.
Portal 1 and 2, amazing. It's a
That does
gun
have a
game
gun.
with no violence.
Yeah.
Game without any guns in it whatsoever. Little Kitty Big City would be a current favourite.
I wondered where that was going.
It's gonna be close to my heart forever because when we got some bad news about my cat, who's still with us, Cobweb, that he wouldn't be with us for necessarily much longer, I decided to buy the game and play it with him on my lap.
Oh, that's very sweet.
So we would have that menu, that memory of that, and then they released an update where you could change the cat to look like your own cat. So I did that as well. And it's just a lovely game. I don't really do that kind of cozy game as a rule. My idea of escapism is blowing people's heads off. But I really got why people play games like that and I got in because it was cat based.
It's a beautiful answer.
Like Stray.
No, see, I'm holding off on Stray. Something about that I didn't quite. I learned about the other thing about Little Kitty is I was waiting for that to come out as soon as I heard about it, and it felt more like my idea of a cat game than Stray. But I will go back to Stray. I will get it at some point. It's on the wish list, 100%.
John Bibby asked, if you could go back and watch one film again as if it was the first time you ever saw it, what would you choose?
Predator.
I had a short list of what films it might be, and Predator or The Matrix are in the top 3 of what I thought you'd pick.
The Matrix I did see when it came out with no idea of what it was about, so I can't beat that experience. I would see it again at the cinema, but I almost don't want to overwrite that memory of seeing it the first time with friends, none of us knowing what it was about and just being blown away. It's like this movie was made for me. And the same for Jurassic Park and some of my other favourites. So it was always going to be Predator or Aliens. I think I said to you before, there are 2 films I could watch in any mood, under any circumstances, even if I saw it yesterday. One's Predator, one's Hot Fuzz.
Great picks.
And I saw Hot Fuzz like the first week that came out as well. So, but I was too young to have seen Predator when it came out. So I have seen it on a big screen though, and it is incredible.
Spatten asked, what is your favourite science fiction TV show, if you have one?
I've had different favourite sci-fi TV shows. The most time spent watching and enjoying is going to be Star Trek overall. Different series. I watched repeat reruns of the original series as a kid. Got into Next Generation as soon as it came to UK, like three years delayed or whatever it was, in the bad old days of TV. Got into basically all the other series and then kind of became increasingly less enamoured of them. But I really genuinely enjoy Strange New Worlds still to this day. So it's probably my longest running, deepest interest in a sci-fi TV series. Loved the remake of Battlestar Galactica. Didn't like the final season. I wasn't really a Firefly person. Wasn't a Babylon 5 person. The Expanse latterly I got very much into. Rocky start for me with season 1, and then again wasn't wild on the final season. So it hasn't quite come away as being my favourite. I'd have to overall say Star Trek TNG.
I mean, that's a great choice.
Could have said that right away, couldn't I? But
As a longer question, talking about behind the scenes, what are the steps that go behind every video? The parts behind the scenes that Adam and Chris handle that we might not know about, but that's actually a chunk of work, or how much planning Dave and Jonathan make to ready museum examples for comparison, such as inconspicuously requesting a Glock and a flintlock in an email for completely unrelated and normal reasons.
that's quite close to the mark, isn't it?
Well, we can
sometimes
we can talk about Adam and Chris, who are behind the cameras as we speak. So there he is. That's a very Chris thing to do. I mean, these guys edit the episodes; they make them look incredible. Like EXP would not exist without those two. You know, EXP, the 3 of us are business owners, and we get to collaborate with wonderful folks like yourself. They make the thumbnails. They're really the I was going to say the lube that keeps the machine running, but that's such an awful phrase to use for these two. They're they're gone.
If you can unsay that somehow.
That's what they're for, because they're going to edit it out and it's going to be absolutely great.
Unfortunately,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
it'll be funnier to leave in. So.
We collaborate a lot on the episodes. We went to the Tank Museum to go shoot there. That was like a team effort that we got to do. Chris has done all our music, all of the intro and all of the backing track. Chris did the Doom theme, the Doom flavored theme. I think our Christmas,
That was brilliant.
our Christmas ones
Especially
will have
brilliant.
a Christmas flair to them. I know very little about lighting, sound, shooting stuff. So without these guys, none of this would look nearly as good. They're absolute editing wizards, and it is my honor and privilege to work with both of these boys because it's blowing me a kiss now. This wouldn't work without them. This is just like a nice away. They keep things on track. They've kept us to task over the past couple of days.
And they've now broken the fourth wall fully.
Yeah.
Broken the fifth wall.
Yeah. Considering how long and how deep we waffle when we do remote episodes,
Yeah.
when we do this, we give them these hours.
Yeah, I feel bad how much utter waffle I provide that needs so much work.
They get hours of waffle from both of us that they cut down into entertaining, snappy, cohesive, quality content.
which does then result in, why didn't Jonathan mention this? Comments. And I go, I did!
So that will usually... Yeah.
That was more so, yeah. You
Back
guys are very switched on that. It's also to do with the sheer amount. The more I just riff on stuff, the more it's impossible to include every thought that I had. You wouldn't ever want to. And it really doesn't matter if I... And sometimes I do miss stuff.
We're only human. And like we were saying back... we had to sort of cut things down quite a lot for time metrics.
Yeah.
But now we get the extended edition on Patreon. We can keep all the gold, all the slices of fried gold that come out of your face. It's been a long couple of days, all right? I'm not... As for the readying museum example stuff, we saw that in action in person. We were going through the collection to get stuff, and it was for the Black Ops section of the Call of Duty episode. You sort of looked at me as confused as to why I was asking for a Makarov and an AMT, was it? We grabbed?
Yeah, Auto Mag.
I will sometimes try and surprise you with certain things, but if we want to feature stuff on a thumbnail or show off a real world example, like I will consult. I've been fortunate enough to be here a lot, and you've given us tours of the collection, so I've got a good idea of what's here. You'll excitedly let us know anything you can about anything that comes in. Consult the online collection, so it will be sort of cross-referencing that between what we're putting in the game, and if it, like the flintlock, for example, it was pretty easy for me to send you a weapon list of like, yeah, let's showcase a Glock, let's showcase a flintlock pistol. But I do think you're becoming a bit more switched on and be like, what amalgamation is Dave trying to sneak in this time?
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance between, so there's my available time. If I just don't have time, and I've kind of gone into this that way as well, except for being able to go around with you and pick stuff. But then you're deliberately not telling me too much context because you're trying to preserve the reaction, which is the main draw of the format. It's no fun if I know everything about it and revise it to the nth degree. If I see a gun in a list and I go, I should know about it, I want to know the background, I want to revise or even learn. Sometimes I don't know what they are ahead of time, so it's not just, I don't know about that. Or it's something I feel like I should know, or I did know and I've forgotten a bit about, or I just want to revise it. I'll do the background, but then I'll still go in cold to the clip. I won't ever watch the clip first. Sometimes I'll have a peek on IMFDB, and occasionally I'll say, are you sure it's that? Usually, they're right, or you've spotted it yourself, and it's absolutely right. But the main reason to do that is to try and pick ahead of time something that's the right fit. Sometimes I'll just leave it, and I'll run off and grab it in the moment, which is a lot of running back and forth, but it's where you spend the time. Do I try and preload a rack with guns, or do I do it in the moment and get the right choice and maybe budget the choice? Because I can't show you a gun for every gun choice, so I'll try and pick at least 4 for each game is the loose rule.
Yeah, which makes it feel like an actually fruitful collaborative effort.
But some of the super interesting stuff that's more philosophical or kind of speculative, we just don't have anything to reference, and we just sort of riff on it.
Yeah, or there'll be, pieces that I will recognize, like the Arc Raiders clip. I knew that the inspiration, or I got a good sense of the inspiration of the magazine from one of the rifles was the Shosha. So I could then just ask you to grab a Shosha, And hopefully, usually if I've done a bit of research and I know my stuff, you agree with me and you're like, we have picked the right object to showcase for that.
That does sort of help because I can anticipate what goes in and then still react fresh to the actual thing.
Yeah.
Even if I am pre-peeking, sort of peeking the corner as it were, pre-firing I think is what I was thinking of. I've only seen a screenshot from IMFDB at most, and I'm still getting the gameplay footage fresh. So I'm never not surprised by something.
Lion of Perth asked, how would a game developer petition for access to the collection for reference material?
No need to petition. You can just send an email to inquiries@armories.org.uk, I think. I should know that. Yes, or go via the website. My commercial friends in the museum will handle that. And if you're an indie developer, hopefully we can do something that isn't a huge time impact on us, but I don't have unlimited time and we have to keep the lights on. I mean, as you can see.
Okay, so we've got some fun/fluff ones for quickfire. The Walrus Queen has asked, do you watch any YouTube videos or listen to any podcasts in your off time that aren't related to firearms? If so, what are your favorite channels? If you don't have any specific channels off the top of your head, what about favorite genres?
Yeah, quite a few. Oh, God. The one that comes to mind I've been listening to a lot is Mythological, which is all about mythology and folklore. Mm-hmm. I'm working my way through their back catalogue. They do a lot of... I'm not a big podcast listener per se. It's got to be something about a subject I'm interested in, but I am a big folklore buff, so I'll probably get through most of their stuff. They're not a huge YouTube channel, but these podcast outfits tend to put stuff out through other platforms that I don't necessarily listen on. So that's one that comes to mind. I'll seek stuff out. Like my subscriptions are very gun heavy. If there's a subject I'm particularly interested in, history that's not to do with guns, I'll generally look for specific episodes of stuff. I won't, there are a few that I'm subscribed to that are not guns. However, very quickly, I can remind myself of my subscriptions. Music channels, obviously, record labels and individual bands. So I definitely, Alien and Predator stuff. So AVP Galaxy. I've corresponded with those guys. Maybe, hopefully one day we'll do something together. I watch their YouTube channel and occasionally comment on their forum and have been for years. So they're on there. That's just under A. Some science channels, PBS Eons. A really obscure one I'll end on that I've just been reminded of that's in Romanian, so I have to watch with the subtitles on, is Corpus Draculanum, which is a YouTube spin-off of a book, an amazing volume about Vlad Dracula III, the historical figure. Not about the vampirism stuff at all. Yes, I got interested in him through the Dracula thing. The connection between the two is way less concrete than people think, but he's a fascinating historical figure. So I guess another one would be Matt Easton. I follow his stuff for the sword stuff.
We got to meet him a little while ago, earlier this year.
Yeah. He dabbles in the firearms. He's mainly edged weapons and armour, and I watch that stuff avidly as well. So yeah, some other weapon stuff, a lot of science stuff. Kyle Hill on the science side would be another one. Tested, Adam Savage.
Great guy.
Yep.
Badger Boss, good name for you, has asked, where do you get your awesome shirts?
Number one source would be my good lady wife, who is always looking out for cool t-shirts and shirts for me. Had this one made for me of our cat's face, which is very funny and lovely. I also keep an eye out and buy stuff myself. Retro Rifle, the shirt that I've got 3 shirts from them. They were tipped off to me by Mick. Shout out to Mick.
Well, you introduced me to them, and I've been meaning to pick up some stuff from Retro Rifle. But last time I was in the States, I tried to order stuff to my hotel, and it didn't work out. But I've seen you wear a few of those, and thought you should give me some of them.
A whole range of them that sadly have been dying and pensioned off that people have commented about historically were made by Akumu Inc. That brand, I think, is still going, but you can't get any of the ones that I still have. Anywhere and everywhere. I got several really nice ones in Salem, that have been like my armoured cat design. That's from Die with Your Boots On in Salem. Massachusetts.
Well, similarly to the shirt question, what are some of the bands on your bucket list to see live? I've noticed some great band t-shirts over the years, Alter Bridge in particular. That's from Jake.
Alter Bridge, despite me having an Alter Bridge t-shirt, I have never seen them live. Nearly have once, but haven't. Definitely on the list. A big one for me at the moment is Creeper. And I actually had tickets to go and see them do the whole of their vampire-themed, the last album, not the current one, in Camden, and then realised I couldn't go. And I couldn't even give the ticket to anyone, so I was gutted. I'd love to see them. I'm a new fan of that band because of the vampire shtick, so the old fans probably would hate me, but because I know how it works from being fans of other stuff. I've been fortunate to see most of my favourite bands.
You seen Ghost live?
Seen Ghost twice.
They're great live.
I will see them again because I haven't seen them this album cycle, so that will happen again, I'm sure. So it's some great bands I've been lucky to see that came and went. Like Heaven's Basement. You know, I still really love their album they came out with. Probably haven't heard of them. Hipster stuff. I try and do a gig like minimum once a year if I can. Hopefully once every 6 months. And I'll go on my own if I have to.
I'll come with you, don't worry. Massima asked, if you were stranded on a desert island, what one firearm would you bring and why?
That's a difficult one. If it's a desert island disc, it'd actually be hilarious if I got desert island discs.
When we were collating these questions, I was like, this is Jonathan's desert island disc question.
I'm not really a fan of desert island discs. Do you know why? Because everyone they get on has terrible taste in music. No, not really. They don't have terrible taste. They have very middle of the road taste in music. I don't think I've ever heard an episode of that where it was something that I would regard as cool. But anyway, now they do talk about sort of paraphernalia and things that you would take, don't you? So if I somehow got on there, I would definitely sneak in a gun reference. But it's like, what if it's one thing to enjoy, like, oh, I've still got this thing, it would be, I'd take an EM2.
Yeah.
Because it sums up various aspects of my career and likes. But then I'd be terrified that it would deteriorate in condition, so I probably wouldn't want to take it with me. Practically speaking, if you've got, as much as I have never shot an animal, and I've no problem with people doing that, but I'm not interested in doing it. But then you do have to think about the survival aspect. If you're genuinely on a desert island and there are small mammals and birds, you've got to shoot them to survive. So it's going to have to be like a Ruger 1022, realistically, something practical. Sadly, really boring. So I've given you a fun answer and a boring answer.
I appreciate that.
Fun answer and the Desert Island Discs answer, which would still get me cancelled from BBC Radio 4.
I mean, that's fine, isn't it?
I do like BBC Radio 4. Just not a huge Desert Island Discs fan.
Are you an eggs fan? Because Alias asked, how do you like your eggs? Scrambled, over easy, sunny side up, or something else?
Standard order would be, in the US, because here you can't really order eggs any different way, can you, typically?
In like a specialist brunch place.
Maybe scrambled or fried. I'm an over easy guy, really. But I do like a good scrambled egg. And if I'm at all worried that it won't be a really good fried egg, I'll go scrambled as a safe option. We just had an excellent lunch, did we not?
Yeah.
And I had a scrambled egg and sausage brioche roll because I am extremely middle class.
You seemed very taken by it.
I was.
And what's your dream car that you really want to own by Clumsy Gamer?
Ooh, I know the petrol heads will roll their eyes probably, but Time Machine DeLorean.
With the gull wings.
I mean, they come as standard. It's the Time Machine paraphernalia that would have to be
specifically
screen
got
accurate.
The gubbins.
Yeah, I mean there are others that are a bit more. I don't know, something like a vintage Mustang would be great. I used to love the Lotus sports cars, but they're like terribly unreliable.
Keeping it British.
Yeah, I love the modern Dodge Challenger. I have to say that's a different type of cliche, but
like the John Wick one. Does he drive a Challenger?
That's a Mustang.
Mustang
GT. That's cool too. I've driven a few muscle cars on holiday, but the Challenger is just so absurd.
I bet you look cool as hell in a muscle car.
I don't know about that. Where I did once look cool in a muscle car, and that's when a bald eagle came out of the Florida sky and landed in front of our Dodge Challenger and made us stop. This is the most American moment ever. It's only a shame I'm not holding a gun.
Well, thank you for answering all of our questions. Thank you, patrons, for submitting said questions. Hope you all have a deeper appreciation for the wonderful Jonathan Ferguson now. And thank you for joining us today.
You're most welcome.
Doing all these videos with us. We've got, how many have we done? 6? 7?
Some.
We've done some. We've done
Somewhere
some
between
videos.
one and some.
We've done one and some. Stay tuned because we'll have much more. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.